Welcome everyone to another breaking news edition of the latest and greatest security news and vulnerabilities. Today, starting with Linux kernel, recurring theme here, right? Single address space, monolithic stuff, and continuous refactoring. That is a story of CVE 2022-0847, a vulnerability in the Linux kernel since 5.8. Ladies and gentlemen, which allows overwriting in arbitrary data in arbitrary read-only files. Yay! Exactly. We are back in the office. We have actually we should have that, right? Yes, we have. Yeah, recurring theme here, right? Recurring criticism, single address space. Although it's not that, it's extremely simple. Static flag. Also something those people calling for Rust, like yeah, Rust probably would not really save you from that, because I think they had the linked here. So the fix is actually extremely tiny. That was, I had this actually open. Where was that? Still a bug fix. And I had actually had it opened earlier somewhere. But it's an extremely, as far as I remember, it's an extremely, here fixed, probably that one. Right, because I clicked on it. So the fix is extremely that. So this is a pure logic bug that, to be honest, you could have also in your multi-server microkernel. Not going to lie there, and also Rust, right? Because it's not something that Rust memory safety will verify for you. So IO vector iterator initialize flags a new pipe buffer. Function copy page to iterator pipe and push pipe can both allocate a new pipe buffer, but the flex member initializer is missing. Yay, initialization, right? So nothing. So unless you work with some integrated, like a little bit like Ada has of design by contract stuff, integrated logic specification verification stuff, no language will save you from that. But it still underlines my point of just what we had this morning, right, with regressions and stuff. So only constants change, and in case of the Linux kernel, I recurrently, like monthly, even with my somewhat outside view and work with Linux kernel, it annoys me as a small to medium user, whatever you want to classify this. It annoys me the heck out of me, especially with work with vintage and retro, but also embedded stuff. Each time you touch something, some API change, some argument shuffle, some function rename, some helper, some initialization stuff changed. But yeah. So this seen here as proof of concept, you create a file as normal user as root and overwrite it with user. You can obviously use it for in various means, secure shell and web server and stuff. And the usual trickery applies, right? You need to be a little bit creative, but yeah. In similar stuff, Mozilla Foundation just out breaking news today, I think. Do we have March 5? Maybe we have, or maybe yesterday. Recurring security vulnerability fixes, right? Firefox 9702, impact high, recurring theme here, right? C-based stuff, use after free, and more use after free. 2 times XSLT parameter processing, because obviously that is very difficult in C, right? C and C++, I totally got that. And in web GPU, because obviously, right, it's a web, right? JavaScript never was enough. Obviously need to freaking web GPU your hardware accelerate your stuff. Sandblock, yeah, also could lead to use after free exploitable sandbox escapes. Yeah, sandbox. Also, yeah, I said this, right? I think I made a video 1.5 years ago, something of that sort. Sandbox really versus that helpful and stuff, because at the end of the day, I understand they should improve security, but at the end of the day, if there is some escape in there, and like weekly we have sandbox escape in Firefox, sandbox escape in Chrome and in Safari, every other week something else somewhere. So at the end of the day, is it really versus yeah, maybe this should be designed differently, but somehow this doesn't look the most beneficial here. Or anyway, In similar news, stumbled upon a fun heap overflow in GitHub's Markdown rendering library. Oops. Remote code execution via malicious README. Welcome to 2022, right? I mean, not only do we have back in the office, I love my set of face pumps. Man, I need to set this up on the macOS side because this is my nice Linux Studio setup, right? Isn't it amazing? So, malicious README 20. Welcome to 2022 demonstration. The risk of memory unsafe dependencies used by scripting languages. This is we have seen this 100 times, right? Monthly or weekly reminder here on this channel, and yeah, you in 16 max columns of markdown. We got this. What this means is dependencies like native code, like C, obviously they totally got memory safe programming concepts not. And using those, you think you use Python or PHP or stuff, JavaScript, and yeah, call into native modules that are potentially a little bit limited to UN16 max and stuff. It's like, yeah, hacking WebKit with Markdown, with the README. In similar news, yeah, PDF and stuff, right? And analysis of Adobe Acrobat Pro, DC, Solid Framework, Adobe, of course. In January 2022, Adobe released a security update, as they usually do. And yeah, software complexity, right? And this is, I don't know what more should I do than weekly shout this out here. We need to change this as an industry as a whole, and Rust can only be one part and not the only part. But also complexity, right? Just with our microkernel stuff in general, everything is too complex. Everyone YOLOs everything together, frameworks and modules, and even if it's just for some color dependency and stuff. And then deploying this in multiple components, of course, CVE multiply. I mean, of course, it's Adobe, right? Where Linux and Firefox has only one or two. Adobe Acrobat, of course, a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 2022, 1, 44, 703, 708, 709, 740, and 741 discovered by scholars, threat labs. These 5 vulnerabilities exist in Acrobat Pro. DC Solid Framework uses this Solid Framework for the conversion of PDF files in Microsoft Office files in Adobe Acrobat and this, yeah. Analyzation. If you're interested in this proof of concept and stuff, right? Always nice to read, nice stuff to learn if you want to get into InfoSec. In similar news, where have we been? Probably, all right, we have been here. webOS, people still using webOS, right? Previous Palm Pre, I think, did this originate there? Maybe. Even more mistakes were made, too long didn't read. November 11th, 2021, they sent an additional report to the LG product security team. Consists of 2 internal access control vulnerabilities in LG webOS TVs, like, yeah, smart TVs, right? And the recurring theme of that, also drop frames. And yeah, the usual stuff when you reinvent the wheel yourself and have some internal access control mechanisms. And we have seen this always, right? Use some standards, reuse some stuff, and work with experts in that, have this, yeah, code review and fuzzing and stuff, right? Because it turns out the more people look at custom-made stuff, also in access points and the smart TV in particular, protect security-sensitive internal APIs, which could result in arbitrary file access, file overrides, and more. And so hindsight, foresight, getting started, same process. And yeah, in summary, as you can see, as a previous post, webOS relies heavily on being able to identify the user calling an internal API. While this is a standard way of implementing access restrictions, these findings show that even very basic controls can sometimes be confused by the added-on complexity or advanced functions, given that webOS has a huge amount of largely unused legacy functionalities, like, yeah, huge amount and largely unused legacy stuff. 3 combinations that rule security vulnerabilities. In similar news, Apple peak bugs, right? Not something super amazing, but a little bit funny that I thought I'd call out here. turns out someone said, I mean, I don't even never had an Apple Watch, right? This stuff of like, why do you even use this, right? Why should I? And previously, 20 years ago, we were happy we don't need to carry a watch anymore. We have a freaking smartphone. It's like 2017, Apple, like you need a freaking watch again, right? When everyone was happy not to have at least as far as I know. Anyway, a little bit funny bug. It doesn't surprise me if true. Allegedly, Apple Watch ping with iPhone, ping my iPhone feature by wearing iPods, and it will play the noise through the AirPods. Like amazing stuff, right? Like who would have thought about this? This is basically Apple today. Everything's like some feature, but yeah. In similar news, I regularly criticize Apple of peak bugs and not that much innovation, in my opinion. And other people agree, right? I only included this as a pointer here of other famous people of Mac fans and stuff discuss this. And there was another article this week by Ricardo Mori, published a piece about recent perceived decline in Mac software, titled A Brief Reflection on Mac Software Stagnation. So I'm not the only one who says this. And link to text by the start article, happy coincidence, I'm a reader or something. And so I'm not the only one, right? And I would even go and like, complexity, they basically discuss frameworks, and nowadays often Mac apps like only like an iOS app like made to work on Mac and stuff. And it's like, not so nice designed and not so nice to use and so on. And I would even go further, and I was thinking to make a video already specifically about this. In my opinion, I said this before, I actually use macOS, right? I still use macOS. So last year's less and less due to peak bugs and refocusing on our Linux distribution. But I used it really for 15 years, like 50% with my own Linux here. And actually macOS, I would personally say macOS once actually was pretty good or pretty solid, like 10.6, 10.7, this was actually pretty decent. Maybe 10.6 or so might be the height of design and stability and thought throughness. And since then, basically, I would say there is zero extra functions that Apple added that help me. I would even say there are like 100 things that annoy me, that make using Mac less intuitive. I would even say the design, especially the last just 2 or so years, the design, it really looks like a toy OS. It basically looks has a little bit KDE 3 feeling to me. But in general, even with KDE or not, KDE 3 or not, I would in general say it's the design is not very user-friendly anymore. The usual flat stuff, you don't often distinguish between buttons and stuff, and everything looks a bit unsorted and strange, like basically iPad positioned on Mac and all the controls and so on. And a lot of stuff, even the save, right? They have since quite some time, I don't know, 10.9 or whenever that was, quite some years, maybe 5 or so, they have, when did they even introduce this? Eventually they introduced, maybe with this iCloud stuff of whatever that was, of programs changing the file, and then it's a very, also maybe auto-saving. So basically when you, very strange behavior of save as, I think you don't have save as, you need to click on duplicate, or really strange stuff that basically, I don't even use Mac that much anymore, but I don't recall the details in very much detail, but a lot of the stuff like changes even like on the file access and this file panel and stuff. Even basic file management tasks annoy me these days, or all this, even other controls became harder to reach or strangely. I mean, someone even wrote the system preferences are so unsorted that on Twitter, like who even finds there something. I always use the search, and it's also for me, right? You go there, where was this button? It's like, typing in, text-based interfaces, right? It's preferences so convoluted and cluttered, and maybe also not the best visual representing icons, that text search is faster to search something like visual control, I mean network maybe, but even the icons, right? And this is the thing, you have some unsorted collection of items there, and basically where was this network thing? Basically typing network is faster than looking through the icons. Anyway, what is the next? Yeah, this is the next. Actually, maybe we wanted, but anyway, I can talk. I'm maybe not perfectly sorted. Russian electric vehicle chargers hacked. Tell users Putin is a dickhead. As funny as it is in these sad times, also I think this was maybe outside. Yeah, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Two things here. So, although I wonder if it still works. So, if it would still, if it's hacked to not work, that would be really annoying. Actually, maybe I should have read this in more detail. But I included here mostly not for the funny part, mostly for two things. First of all, critical infrastructure, right, and security. Especially for the last years, we always had said. I mean, it was always said things in the USA hacked, it were the Russians, things in Europe hacked allegedly were the Russians. I was even often joking. I was like, yeah, everyone says the Russian, who knows who it really was and stuff. And now we have this crazy war situation here. And maybe it were more often the Russians than we thought, but this is exactly the point, right? All the critical infrastructure, this is nothing to laugh about. Obviously, it continuously happens in the USA and in Europe with similar things, and this is just a critical reminder that we need to secure this stuff, right? Because the next time this can be hacked by Russia, North Korea, China, or the USA here in Germany or somewhere else. And yes, this is why we need to get this right. No? Not only in war times, but even in peace times, that not random people install crypto mining on your car charger or similar such stuff. I think it was even outsourced, right? So much so you start a war and then lots of your stuff is outsourced to Ukraine. I think it was mentioned there. Outsourced. Had outsourced, yeah. According to the Post, you can't make this stuff up. According to the Post, the charger were purchased through a Russian company which had outsourced production to a Ukrainian part supplier called Auto Enterprise. Heap-based EV charging company. Also, yeah, this is now sadly bombed away. Crazy times. Most likely not standing anymore if I see the pictures there. Yeah, security is important, right? It's not. We make it jokes here because it's after 20 years in the industry, so sad that is the state of the industry, and we need to improve it, right? I reminded for years. Reconnect. Sorry for this outage. DOCSIS modem reconnect because obviously I do. Fun. Anyway, so now I don't know how many minutes, how long it was missing, probably not so long, but we discussed this. I hope this was mostly electric vehicle stuff, right? But yeah, Ukrainian newspaper, 120,000 Russian soldier, personal data. I said, in general, I don't endorse leaking of users' data. In this case, in this criminal war situation, of soldiers, I don't know. And leave in the comments below. In Germany, maybe in other parts too, but especially here, some people often call for ethic classes for computer scientists, not exactly for avoiding people creating killer robots or other like self-driving car situations. And yeah, for this kind of stuff, in peace times, previously I would always have said leaking of user data bad, leaking of personal data not good. But here, this is really starting to be a difficult call, right? Leave in the comments below what's your stand here. That is, yeah, not everything is black and white. And I mean, also on the other hand, what does it help except showing security issues, except showing people in Russia how many Russian soldiers fighting in Ukraine. But yeah, leave in the comments below. That is a bit of a crazy one, but in general, obviously security is good and leaking data. Yeah. In similar news, crazy times, there were reports that Signal was hacked and intercepted in Eastern Europe and stuff. And the Signal team had to feel compelled here to shout out that is false. Signal not hacked, believed to be rumors part of a coordinated misinformation campaign. And yeah, this is also the thing, right? I mean, it's on one side well, rumors, fake news, you always need to be careful. And especially in this time, I recommend it. Leave in the comments below. I personally found Signal to be one of the more secure things, more secure messengers. And I told a lot of people already for years, but this is also the thing, right? It changes over a week. People are happy with their WhatsApp. You tell people WhatsApp has government backdoors, government data interception, data query, the usual policing mechanisms. And it's like, yeah, YOLO, whatever, I only share the photos of our kids playing. And then next week there is a full-scale war going on in Europe, right? So much too, or in other parts, previously Syria and so on, Iraq, Afghanistan, and yeah, you need security. And this is also why we can't have government backdoors, right? Even people in Europe, it's not always Russia. In Europe, in the USA, governments calling for data interception backdoors for policing and kids, right? And this is why we need secure apps, right? Even for ourselves, especially here now that stuff is not intercepted by China, by North Korea or other US secret services, especially if you are in countries like that. And yeah, I think Signal is open source. I think I had, and this is also some, I hope this is full core code, probably. And why this is also important that we have independent foundations and not using products like from Facebook and such, for profit advertising companies. Not a static right, not sure if we discussed this yet, but there also was thought on Musk adding Ukrainian network service with StarLink terminals. I didn't include this, now that you mentioned that. So, I mean, I actually was thinking to maybe include this, because first it looked like one of those promises that people were already laughing of all the other stuff, of quickly building a submarine and stuff. So first it looked like, yeah, he says something, it won't happen. Then it actually really happened. But then also people quickly called out, it's like, yeah, not so fast. It's nice and all and stuff. But your enemies can also use it to target you and also disrupt it, right? So I think Musk later even said that they work on making this more resilient against attacks and actually delay Starship also. I'm not really sure how that fits together, why Starship is delayed due to making, I think it's called StarLink, isn't it? More StarLink, yeah. Although maybe this is, the funny thing is also, you always need to be a little bit careful, right? Maybe he uses this as an excuse now, like, yeah, look, we need to work on Starlink security and hardening signal integrity and stuff for attacks as an excuse, like, yeah, YOLO, you know what, our Starship stuff will be a little bit, I mean, Starship, the usual stuff, right? Over promised and under delivered, some explosions and some years later. In this rare case, you need to give him credits, like, yeah, he really got some Starlink terminals to Ukraine. But yeah, your mileage may vary, and you also need to be careful, right, with security. Using this as for guided missiles and also disruption, putting objects in between and planes and stuff. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Leave in the comments below how important you find this. In similar news, hackers leak 190 GB like last week's NVIDIA, right? In the meantime, some data published. And now hackers also leak 190 GB of alleged Samsung data source code. In the meantime, it's not alleged. I think Samsung confirmed that. So shortly teasing their followers, published description of the upcoming leak, source code for the trusted applet, trust zone environment used for sensitive applications, binary encryption, access control, algorithms for all biometric unlock operations, bootloader source code, and so on. I mean, in one part, if stuff is secure, it shouldn't matter. So usually this stuff quickly clobbered together by big companies is often not as secure. It's more security by obscurity. So Samsung was quick to point out, it's like, yeah, our security customers will not be compromised, but I wouldn't be so fast to call it like that. But yeah, in general, stuff needs to be secure, right? You can't we don't give you the source code. Trust us, it's secure. It's like, yeah, trust us, it's secure. Especially with previously seen, I think it was Samsung, right? Where was it like just last week where we called out some research paper where they found Samsung's trust zone stuff was not using the best crypto. Also, in similar news, ransomware and stuff, right? Conti ransomware gang internal chats leaks after siding with Russia. So much to that, right? 2022, Conti ransomware group broadcasting pro-Russian messages, pleading its alliance to Vladimir Putin's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Crazy stuff. And then an anonymous security researcher using the Twitter handle Conti Leaks had leaked the syndicate's internal chats. Particularly newsworthy, also the file dump published malware researchers group VX Underground said contains 13 months of chat logs. So if you ever wanted to read a ransomware chat log, then here is your chance. And I think this also showed somewhere like, was it hacked, quickly hacked with messages confirmed, shutdown of TrickBot botnet. Last week highlighted relationship with TrickBot, emoted malware gangs, and later which resurrected later last year through TrickBot. And I think, I'm not sure, somewhere I saw hacked with, yeah, you can read the details there if you're interested in ransomware gangs internal stuff. I think it was hacked through a vulnerability in was it Active Directory maybe? So, but yeah, 2022, not only ransomware gangs hack stuff, but hackers or InfoSec people hack and leak ransomware gangs, or also internal tumults, right? Maybe some people were not happy with this message there. But yeah, what a year, crazy stuff, especially certainly starting with Linux kernels. Dirty pipe here. Details, of course, as always, linked later in the video description. I hope you learned something. Leave in the comments below what you think. My recurring shout out for improved security. And I mean, basically, you know, if you have a Linux kernel running between 5.8 and any of those bug fixed release like 5.16, 11, you obviously want to go update your installed virtual machines and stuff now. But yeah, fixing this is not that easy, right? I mean, unless the crazy thing is, how should that be caught? Unless, and there are very leave in the comments below if you know design by contract or other formal verification languages. Very few out there. Leave in the comments below. Have you worked with any formal verified stuff like security enhanced L4? There are a couple of times such things. But this kind of stuff, what you basically need is some kind of description of expected state, like initial state and expected changes to that, and testing against this. So this is also, I recently was surprised how little unit testing there is in the Linux kernel. I would hope theoretically in a perfect world such kind of stuff should have some kind of unit testing where you could even, for the most part, unit test this, as far as I've seen the Linux kernel is not doing, but basically compile some parts, like the logic for this file system logic, as a user space part and run that here in lib.io. As far as I've seen, leave in the comments below, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Linux kernel has the most infrastructure for that. And in general, is that in, so that is Linux kernel, in my opinion, so in a very good project, I would expect a test case to be committed with that, right? Like GCC and other projects. It is really sad that after 30 years of Linux kernel, and especially with backing of huge foundations like Linux Foundation, there is not, yeah, as I said previously, Linux kernel Foundation, Linux Foundation is doing so much stuff that's not in their primary focus scope there, and instead of focusing on purely making the Linux kernel the most robust and secure. But Yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. As always, leave in the comments below what you think of any of those topics, or if you have in the future stuff that you think should be mentioned here, drop me a comment, email or Discord. As always, have a good day or night, and hope to see you soon for the next videos and live streams to come.